Hey guys, Happy New Year. This is where we are right now, and I don't know if this date right here will represent some kind of issue with the fiscal cliff or not, like we were looking at um, with these scriptural alignments that aligned with Moses descending and the golden calf being turned to powder and all of that. I don't know, what this means if the this this thing down here that happened. I don't know how it all connects. But what I do know is that the next watch period that for me is the most amazing watch period that I've ever seen before is this right here, March 20th through the 22nd, and I'll show you what I mean. Um, if you haven't watched these two videos that I put out, you might want to go watch those first because I prove in in detail, and I do a very in-depth study showing the scripture using the concordance that there is a rapture, that Jesus said it would happen when the Great Tribulation starts in the middle of Daniel's 7 years. And I also show that the Abomination of Desolation happened on August 2nd, 2012. And I show that in detail here. So you might want to go watch those if you haven't seen them. But this is the timeline that Jesus had given us for the end. He had said, first you'll see the Abomination of Desolation. And we saw that here. And he said, then the rapture will happen after that. Um, so this flee to the mountains actually represents the rapture, as I've shown in my other videos. Um, when you see the Abomination of Desolation, then let them, which be he who shall be praised, be saved by flight, by the carrying away. And what he does is in verse 17 and 18, he's just confirming for us that this is actually a rapture and not literally people running into the mountains. This is the mountain of God right here. And this is people that are actually being transformed in the twinkling of an eye and being taken to the heavenly place that he prepared for us. So, and we'll stay there for 3.5 years and return to the earth after that. He's confirming that in these two verses right here. He's just saying, look, even if you're on your own housetop, you're not going to be able to go down and get your stuff out of your house. And if you're in the field, you won't even be able to turn around and grab your shirt, basically. So, I mean, if somebody was literally fleeing into the mountains, it's guaranteed that if they were on their own roof, they'd have to climb off their roof first. You know what I mean? They'd have to climb off their roof, and then sure enough, they're going to reach into their house and grab their coat at least. So his whole point in saying that is that it's not literally people going into the mountains. This is a rapture that people are going to be taken into the heavenly abode that's orbiting around the planet. It's in the uppermost parts of the earth. It's in the uppermost, I think you call it the magnetosphere. It's the highest point on the earth, which is the highest point in the earth is the magnetic field. So anything beyond that, if you were coming from outer space, which is where Jesus is coming from, because it says he's like a man coming from a faraway land. If you're coming from outer space, then earth is everything from the core out to the magnetic field. So the uppermost part of the earth is where we're going to be taken, orbiting the planet. So, and this, he does not say that it's going to be immediate. He doesn't say that immediately after the Abomination of Desolation the rapture will happen. He doesn't say that. He just says after. He says after it that the rapture will happen, and then after that the Great Tribulation will happen. Because if you click on this word, at that time, which is a combination of this word and this word means that. And this word right here literally means after. So right here it says after. So he's saying you'll see the idol of terror. Then after that, the rapture will happen. Then after that, the tribulation will happen. That's what he's saying right here. We also know that from Daniel 12, because in Daniel 12 it says at that time, and when you click on the word time, it actually means season. So in that season, when you see the idol of terror, around that same time, after the rapture is going to happen sometime, there's going to be a sign in the heaven, Revelation 12. And we saw that on October 16th. He said that he's going to be delayed, but to keep watching. And that was what happened on September 16th, the Feast of Trumpets, on the 35th day. He was delayed. But he said he is going to return at midnight. So what does midnight mean? And I showed this in my other video. It means all these different things. It could mean at night, or when work ceases, or the time of death, or the time for deeds of sin and shame, the time of moral stupidity and darkness, and or the time when the weary and the drunken give themselves up to slumber. He also gave us another clue when he said, pray that it's not in the winter. Well, this word winter actually can mean two different things. It can mean the winter season or the stormy and rainy weather. I'll just show you real quick. Winter right here can mean either the winter season or just stormy and rainy weather. So if we're considering that it means winter, then March 20th is the first day of spring. So that would mean that's when winter is over, is on March 20th. But I think the most convincing thing, for me at least, is that 1,260 days after this date, there's a solar and lunar eclipse. So, remember, the next thing that Jesus had said is that immediately after the tribulation, there will be a solar eclipse and then a lunar eclipse. And then the bride will return from heaven. So, we know the tribulation lasts 1,260 days, and we know that the bride is held in heaven for 1,260 days. So, we know that immediately after the tribulation, there's a solar and lunar eclipse. So here's March 20th, the first day of spring. 1,260 days after that is August 31st, 2016. And the very next day is September 1st, and 2 weeks later is September 16th. The solar and lunar eclipse, immediate. And that is immediate. It says that it's immediate, and right here it's immediate. It's the very, very next day. There's a solar eclipse. We also have this particular day is Nisan 10 if you count the new moon as being the first day of Nisan. So if this is the first day right here, then this would be the 10th day right here. And this was the day that the Israelites brought their lamb into the house. So the lamb would represent those being raptured. So the lamb is brought into the house. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But then the next day, we have this guy, George Cavassalis, who says that humans will ascend on this date. And I'm not sure why he says that. But one thing that I found kind of interesting that he said was that he had claimed that the Earth's precessional cycle was 24,832 years. And when I was researching the Georgia Guidestones, I saw that their capstone weighs the same amounts. I thought that was really bizarre. So here it is right here, the capstone. And then the very, very next day, after he says humans will ascend, the very, very next day is exactly 33 years after the guide stones were erected. So, when you go right up here, this is the guide stones. On March 22nd, 1980 is when they were erected. So 1980 plus 33 is 2013. So March 22nd, 2013. But the reason that's important is because the World Trade Center construction started on the North Tower in 1968. And then they were brought down 33 years later. So 1968 plus 33 years later is 2001 when they were brought down. So that's kind of wild. And then we also have March 22nd is 1,260 days after Obama won the Peace Prize. So he won the Peace Prize on October 9th. And then 1,260 days later is March 22nd, 2013. So that's pretty bizarre. This is actually exactly 3 months from the Mayan end date, or it's within that. From here to the 23rd would be exactly 3 months after the Mayan end date, which, remember, from the Jews, their text had always said it will happen on the third day, on the third day, on the third day. That's kind of bizarre. Also, we have the skull and bones number, 322, which people speculate about, but nobody really knows, I guess. And then we have this was another scriptural alignment. We have Easter falls on March 31st, which is the last day of Passover if you consider March 11th. This is the new moon on March 11th. And if we consider this the first day of Nisan, then this day is the 10th, this is the 14th, and this is the 21st. So Exodus 12:18 says that we should celebrate that we're supposed to celebrate unleavened bread from the 14th day of the month to the 21st day of the month. So if this was the first day, then this would be the 14th and this would be the 21st. And that would mean that Passover and unleavened bread would end exactly on Easter, which I thought was really bizarre because Easter represents Christ rising from the dead, ascending into the clouds, and Passover represents Christ's crucifixion. I just thought, wow, it's actually ending right on Easter this year. If you started on the new moon, which according to some is the way that you're supposed to do it. But I don't know. I mean, I just thought that all of that was beyond coincidental. However, I mean, I guess there's the possibility that they're trying to deceive us to make us believe that maybe. But if they are conjuring up all of this stuff, I mean, all the way from Obama's birth to, I mean, just everything, that would be a pretty grand deception. I mean, if it is a deception. I can't imagine, I mean, them coming up with this October 16th, 2012. I mean, wow, is that a deception too? Them, creating this date 2,500 years ago just to fool us all. I mean, did they even know what was going to happen in the stars on that date 2,500 years ago? That's hard for me to believe that the Masons or whoever could have come up with this and have been going along with this plan for thousands of years. I mean, that's hard to believe, but I guess it's possible if maybe they time traveled or something. But anyway, the point is, it's not coincidence. There's no way it's coincidence. But what does it mean? I don't really know. But it's definitely a watch date. So I hope you guys are well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.